Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about Tahm Kench top. This is a pick which I have been playing a lot recently, and let's get into it. So the runes are going to be as follows. There's very few iterations of Tahm Kench runes at the moment. You can go things like Hail of Blades and Unspeakable Spell, but Fleet Guardian are options. But then nowhere near as good as Grasp. I'd say Grasp is basically an every game take on Tahm Kench. With Shield Bash, synergizes as well with your E, gives you more resist. It's a lot of damage when you hit people with your E up. So it's almost always going to be Shield Bash. Demolish is a choice, but Shield Bash is the way to go. Second Wind is going to be your main in the second tree along. You can run it as a sustain rune. It's just a strong rune in general at the moment. Bone Plating isn't great. It probably could do with buffs, but it is still widely overrated on a lot of champions at the moment. It's good into things like Renekton and Set, your early game bruisers, which are very reliant on short burst trades. But you'd rarely see it over Second Wind. Conditioning is also an option, but Second Wind gives you more early game power and sustain, so I definitely recommend it. Overgrowth is a scaling rune. It really helps with your late game transition. I'll talk about this quite a bit, about how Tahm Kench's late game transition is very reliant on a lot of health, so you can get your demonics as stacked up as possible. You can run Unflinching and Revitalize. Revitalize gives you more sustain during laning phase, and also de-shield your E and your Q. It's a pretty powerful rune. Unflinching, good into high CC comps. You're only going to really run Triumph and Alacrity here, but you can once again swap out Alacrity for Tenacity. They're pretty interchangeable most of the time. For minor runes, you can either run Armor or Magic Resist, depending on lane matchup. Once again, you can trade out Health for Armor or Magic Resist. Health is the best option by far. Health is a really strong minor rune, but you can swap it out if needs be. For items, you are going to go D-Shield, or I'm pretty sure it's only really D-Shield start you can go. You're not really going to see any D-Rings or Dark Seal starts. It's very unlikely. Heartsteel is your main mythic. This item is really good on Tahm Kench. Jack Show had a time where it was slightly better, but it's been nerfed since then, and a Heartsteel provides you with that late game security, which you really need on Tahm Kench. He has a really good mid transition, but he can struggle later on. So it definitely provides with a lot more power later into the game. Definitely better in sub-diamond. For boots, it's going to be Swifties or Mercs. Swifties are still widely underrated. They're a really strong pair of boots. It helps when you're dragging people with your R. Helps with the self-slow on that. I think it's still a self-slow. It probably is. On Enemy Devour, it helps with the self-slow. Mercs are really good for high CC comps, and they're just a good pair of boots in general. Steel caps are still widely overrated, but you can go them into very heavy AD comps. Demonics is going to be your main second item. You can go Sunfires, but Demonics is his best. Then you will go Sunfires, or whichever one you didn't go, into Thornmail. Thornmail is really good as it reflects Demonics damage. It also works well when you have Sunfires. Having the double armor items means the Thorn's damage is quite high. Good form of anti-heal as well. Spirits is also a really good item on Tahm Kench. That E-Shield is going to be something which you want to amplify. Plus your Q healing all works out pretty well. Gargoyles synergize as well with Spirits. You wouldn't really go this item if you're not going Spirits. It's a good armor magic resist balance option. Fon is also a good option into a heavy amount of spellcasters, and then Randuin's as well. It's a bad item, but if you need something into a couple of crit champs, then it's not a bad way to go. For summoner spells, it's almost always going to be Flash Ignite. Flash Ignite is really good on Tahm Kench. You can run Flash TP. You can also run Ignite TP. That is also an option, but personal preference, I'd say Flash Ignite is probably the best way to go. Dark Seal is a really underrated item on Tahm Kench at the moment. Pick one of these up early on into the game, and you can, because you're level 6 to 13, I'd say, is a really strong point. You could get a lot of Dark Seals in the mid game, Dark Seal stacks in the mid game. So you could possibly even go Medjai's and just sell Medjai's, gives you a lot of movement speed and damage amplification. So yeah, Carefree 6, you're not as strong as you used to be. A lot more of that power comes in when you're getting your Q points and your item completions. So once you hit level 6, your R comes online. R and Q is a really, really strong combo. Then you can get the remaining points in your Q. The missing health gain is quite nice. The damage is quite nice. There's a lot of bonuses to it. And then you'd start putting points in W, maxing E third. W allows you to traverse easier and can create plays from a longer distance. But the main strength of Tahm Kench comes from his Q and the high amount of damage it does. So it's something like it's a 100% AP ratio, and then it scales as the game goes on, as you get more and more health, which his passive converts into AP. So if you're sat at like it's something like 100 health equals 2% AP. So mid game you're usually sat around 50% AP ratio on the passive, which is really nice because Demonics amplifies that damage, and that's a really good amount of damage. It's I can't understate it. Like it's very good. So strong level 6 to 9 into mid game, definitely. R can be chained, drag people under turrets. 3 seconds gives you a lot of time to work with. Make sure you're chaining R with Q. It's a huge amount of damage. People won't usually expect it, so they won't flash in response. It's one of the best ways of catching people out. If you drop Ignite on them as well, that is a huge amount of damage. You're looking at 600, 700, 800 damage usually. Heartsteel procs are a must to scale into late. He will fall off around 13 and then scale back up as you get more Heartsteel procs, because Demonics will become more valuable, and your tongue lash range is extraordinary. It is a huge hitbox, and you can hit most people from, I'd say, 650 units away once you have like most of your items completed. Heartsteel size gain is really, really valuable. You're weak into Kled. Kled has a really good timing to you. The anti-heal plus the early game strength of Kled make him a really good champion. So definitely we got to be careful when playing into Kled. Cassante is really good at the moment, so you want to avoid Cassante. He can also W your R and your Q, so he can stun you. He can also dodge your tongue lashes with his E, and can respond with a lot of damage. So avoid Cassante. Probably ban Cassante. Shen is also really good into Tahm Kench. Shen will be able to dodge your he will be able to dodge your autos, and he can dash through you, do a lot of damage through that, with lots of percentage health on Shen. Has good wave clear, something which Tahm Kench lacks until you have Sunfire. Maud is also really strong into Tahm Kench. Maud has a good time just chunking through and sustaining through people. Maud will beat out most sustained fights through either ult, ignite, or just his passive and the continuous damage it does. Same goes for Aatrox, except for Aatrox is more of the AD variant. He can also deny you from being able to really engage onto him. Lots of CC and almost resistance to long fights where he'll continuously sustain through with R, and will probably kill you during the duration if you're not really stacked on armor and you've chosen to go with Demonic. So if you're going into something like Aatrox, then you probably will go Sunfire second. It'll usually be Sunfires into most AD matchups second. And of course, Mundo is strong at the moment, so avoid Mundo. You can beat the Mundo matchup. It's just Mundo has a lot of sustain, and if you can't really one-shot Mundo, he will sustain through most of your damage, and then you'll struggle killing him. For the most part, that's Tahm Kench. He will be a really strong top laner. I definitely recommend playing him. He's in a pretty good spot at the moment. The main concern is if they change items a significant amount again, but that will hopefully bring other tanks into the meta. Tahm Kench, I think, is a pretty good hidden pick at the moment. And if a lot of strong champs get nerfed, Tahm Kench definitely rises in strength. He is probably a 52, 53, 54% win rate champion, and definitely worth considering adding to your champion pool. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.